We focused? Do I even know how to use this thing? What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Dave, where the heck have you been? Did you quit YouTube? What's going on? No, I didn't quit YouTube. I'll never quit YouTube. As long as YouTube allows us to upload videos, I'm going to be uploading videos. I have been extremely busy with consulting work and land management. It's absolutely insane. Since early December, I have been traveling. I've been to Ohio, Pennsylvania a gazillion times, Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, my home state, Pennsylvania again, Kentucky again. I've been to New Jersey, back to Maryland. I've been all over the place. And that's why I haven't uploaded videos, because I was focused on that side of my stuff that I'm doing, the land consulting. I actually have clients that have booked for next year already, because I can only do, so many per year. I think so far I've done almost 40 so far this year. And I still have a few more to go throughout this year, leading into April and May. But we're gearing up now for a new hunting property that we're going to be bringing you videos about. And we still have the Kentucky property with Jeff and stuff we'll be working on, and my new property coming up with a partner that went in half with me on this new property. So we have that coming. But today's video, I want to talk to you about annual food plots and weed control, because I've been getting a lot of questions recently about weed control and food plots, and it is important. It's not as important with annuals as it is, with perennials, and we're going to discuss that difference today. So, there's people out there that'll say if you don't use chemicals, you're not a food plotter, you're not a deer hunter, and you don't know how to plant a food plot. Well, to those people that say that, I can say if you have to rely on chemicals to plant a food plot, you don't know what you're talking about. It can go both ways, because there's a huge difference. And the overuse of chemicals, I see a lot of people have failures with, because you're killing everything. Why plant something green and growing just to kill it with a chemical? It never made sense to me, and it'll never make sense to me, because it doesn't make sense. And we're going to talk about that today. So weed control, okay, is very important in food plots. Yes, it's more important with perennials than it is annuals. When you plant a perennial clover food plot, okay, you're spending your money with the prep work, the time, whatever it is that you're using to get that clover food plot established, the equipment, whatever it is. When you're buying the seed, when you put that seed out, you want a pure stand of clover, a perennial clover food plot. You don't want that plot full of weeds, because you're spending your money on the seed so it can, so you can have a beautiful clover food plot. And I'll play some footage over that on food plots that I've had in the past on perennial clover food plots. Usually in a perennial clover food plot, either once a year, you're going to have to spray it with a chemical to maintain weeds. A lot of times, if you don't have a lot of weeds and you have a good stand of clover, you can take that clover and you can mow it maybe once or twice a year when it gets up, whatever it is, 6, 8, 10 inches tall, and it creates a seed head. That way it germinates back, the seeds self-germinate back into the ground and keeps producing clover seed. You can frost seed into that as well, but it's important to maintain those perennial plots, sometimes with chemicals. I used IMOX last year on a perennial food plot. I sprayed it one time. I waited 2 weeks and mowed it. It was an absolute beautiful food plot, and it was full of weeds. When you plant in the springtime, you're going to have weed issues in clover. You're going to have to spray, and you're going to have to mow. That's pretty common. That's a common issue. And like I said, you want your money's worth in that clover plot, so you're going to have to use chemicals. Now, jumping ship to annual food plots, okay? If you are disking the ground and planting annuals, there's almost 0 times where you have to use chemicals. Now, in rare situations, I will spray glyphosate and maybe 2,4-D, maybe on a brand new, ground. It just depends what's in there, really. But again, when you're planting annuals, okay, a lot of times if you're planting annuals, you're going to be planting in the springtime and you're going to be disking the ground, right? So when you disc that ground, you're going to be killing the weeds. Obviously, you're going to bring dormant seeds up to the surface. and they're going to germinate again. But if you're one of the type of people that don't want to use chemicals, and especially with the cost of them this year, I think my local Tractor Supply in here in Maryland, I was there yesterday, I believe, it was $135 for 2.5 gallons. Do you need to buy it? Well, rare situations, yeah, you have to buy it. But that price has went up, skyrocketed over the past couple months with everything going on in the world right now. But when you disc the ground, you're killing the weeds, and let's say you're planting buckwheat. Plant your buckwheat in there. That buckwheat's going to grow. You're going to have some weeds in that buckwheat. It's going to shade out some as well, and it's going to provide good nutrition for the soil. And then later in the year, say mid-October or mid-August, end of August, depending on whenever you're planting your fall plots, you're going to be either disking that buckwheat back in the ground, which is I have always done. It improves the soil dramatically, and you're going to be killing the weeds again because you're disking again. You're planting annuals. So leading into the fall, what happens? Most of your weeds and stuff are going dormant. So at the end of the year or end of August, when you go to plant your fall plot, you're disking the ground again, you're seeding your plot, and those seeds will germinate most likely quicker than any weeds. Typically you're planting some wheat, oats, or rye, maybe some brassicas and some clover, or whatever it is that you're planting. Those weeds are going dormant. So you're allowing the seeds that you just planted to overtake, and you're getting into colder weather, so those weeds and stuff are going dormant. Why spray chemicals? Why plant buckwheat or some type of soil builder blend in the spring just to kill it with a chemical? It makes zero sense. If you're doing a no-till method or something like that without a crimper, then you may have to do it. But if you have a crimper, I would advise that over like rolling, or something like that. Just smashing it down and then spraying it with a chemical. It makes zero sense. I'm bringing this to you because the amount of clients that I went to this year, there's just so much confusing information. I go there and they're like, hey, well, this person said this person said that, this person said this person said that. Well, they're confused. They don't know who to listen to. And I go there and I'm like, dude, you're way overthinking it. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do this. You do need to do this, and you do need to do that. There's just a lot of information. If you want to use chemicals, by all means use them, but they're not 100% needed at all times. I have planted food plots for many, many years without them. I have beautiful fall food plots with no weeds. And the whole idea with this too is a lot of people have issues. I'll give you this tip here and we'll close out the video. Is people have weed issues because they're not fixing the soil pH. Weeds survive in acidic soil. So when you have pHs in the 4s and the low 5s, either upper 5s, low 6, you're going to have weeds. Over time, when you actually take the time to build that soil, add the lime, create some green manure in there, and you always have something green and growing in that soil, you will have less weeds. You'll have to spend less money on chemicals, especially with the cost of it now, and you won't have to spray as much, or if any at all, right? So take the time. It's more important to correct the soil with pH than it is to add fertilizer, because if you're adding fertilizer to the soil and the pH is low, that soil can't utilize that and the plants can't utilize it. So you have to correct the actual pH, not with some liquid lime that you're spraying on there that only lasts for a month and it doesn't even fix the pH. I'm talking about actual pelletized or ag lime you're putting on there to fix the actual pH over time. You're correcting it, you're bringing the number up to a neutral number, 6.5, 6.8, and the 7 is optimal. But if you do that, you'll see less weeds. I promise you. Chemicals aren't needed 100% of the time. There's a lot of confusing information out there. Any questions? Post them down below. Glad to be back. Hope you guys have had a good year so far, and we're going to be pushing out the videos here, especially on the new property. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'll see you on the next video, guys. Later. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you want more information on food plots, soil samples, and habitat management, click this video right here on the screen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you guys are new.